Hi guys, today we are going to see how we can create custom animations for GTA 5 using Blender and Sollumz. First of all, a very important note that please learn the basics of Blender. I'm not going to cover the basics of Blender in this tutorial, and I hope that you know how to create animations or how to deal with animations in Blender. So continuing with that, let's head over to our RPF Explorer first, and what we can do is search mp underscore m underscore free mode underscore 01.yft, and if we just search that, we have our yft file. So right click that and open file location, and now over here we have our mp underscore m underscore free mode underscore 01.yft file. So what we want to do is right click and select export xml. I'm just going to export it in our free mode folder and select folder. Then we can go to our mp underscore m underscore free mode underscore 01 folder, and now we can export our ped components like our heads or our arms, since free mode has all these parts differently for customization purposes. So I'm just gonna first of all find our head component. So this is our first head component. If we just preview it, this is our first default head component. So head underscore 000 underscore r dot ydd file, right click, export xml, select folder. Then we can export our jbib. So jbib underscore 000 underscore u. So this is our default t-shirt. So right click, export xml. Coming down, we can export our next component, which is our lower. So our pants. So lower underscore 000 underscore r dot ydd file. So right click, export xml, and select folder. Next we can export our upper component. So our hands. So upper underscore 000 underscore r dot ydd file. So right click, export xml, select folder. Next we can export our feet. So this is our feet. So this is our shoe part. So feet underscore 000 underscore u dot ydd file. Right click, export xml. And that should be it for rigging up our pet. We can export all different components like beard and stuff, but we don't really want that, and we're just gonna work with minimal setup. So once we have exported all our components, we can head back to our Blender, delete all the default things, press N, go to General Tools under the Sollumz tab, import CodeWalker XML. And now if we just go to our folder, free mode, and import our head component first. Make sure to always import our head component at very first time. So select our head component and click on import CodeWalker XML. Once our head component is imported, what we can do is hide our very low LODs, hide low LODs, and hide our medium LODs. Now we can just import rest of our components like feet. So select feet, select the target skeleton to our head. Make sure to check the import external skeleton button and click on import CodeWalker XML. So this is our feet. Import our next component, which is going to be our jbib. Make sure to select the target skeleton to head again and click on import CodeWalker XML. Import again our next component, our lower component. Make sure the target skeleton is set to head and import. And import our last component, which is going to be our upper component. Make sure the target skeleton is set to head and import CodeWalker XML. So once we have imported all of our components, what we want to do is attach all of the different meshes to our head component. So to do that, we can just hide our Sollumz panel for now, expand our working tab over here, and we can expand our head hierarchy. Expand it once again, and this is our visible drawable model. So this is our high LOD drawable model, expand it. So this is our head mesh. As you can see, the FB underscore jaw underscore 000. So this is our head mesh. Now we want to join all of the components to our head. So first of all, let's join our feet component. To expand our feet hierarchy, expand it once again. Select the visible drawable model and expand it. Now select the mesh for our feet. Then select our head component mesh. So while selecting our feet mesh, control click our head mesh. Right click and join. And then we can just delete our feet hierarchy. So right click and delete hierarchy. Now we can do similar steps in our viewport. So just select the mesh, which is going to be our JBIB mesh. So select our mesh in viewport, shift click our head, right click and join. Now we want to attach our arms to our head. So first of all, select our arms, shift click our head, right click and join. Similarly our lower. So first of all, select our lower mesh, shift click our head mesh, right click and join. So everything is joined to our head mesh now. And now we can just delete all of these leftover things which we don't need. So select our JBIB, right click, delete hierarchy, lower, right click, delete hierarchy, upper, right click, delete hierarchy. So the only thing which will be left is our head. And now we are just going to test if our skinning is working fine or not. So to test our skinning, that is if our mesh is attached to our pet bones, we can just select our pet bone, any of the pet bone, go to our object mode and change it to pose mode. And once we have changed it to pose mode, we can just select any of our bones, and you might see that there are two bones very close to each other. So we can just drag and select both of our bones, select our rotate tool, and if we try to move our hand, we can see that our hand mesh moves along with the bone rotation. We can test all of our other parts. So here is our bone. It's not very visible. To make that visible, we can go to our wireframe mode, and as you can see, this is our knee bone. So we can just drag and select, and if we just try to rotate it, our leg also moves. Our leg also moves with our bone. Make sure to undo it. Let's test our head. So if we just select it, our head also works fine. We can just go back to our material mode, go back to our object mode, and now we can start creating our animations. So in order to make animations, I'm just gonna cover a little bit of basics. That first of all, we need to be in our pose mode, and to be in our pose mode, we select any of our bones, select object mode and change it to pose mode. And now we can just start creating our animations. So before starting the animation keyframes, what we want to do is change up some settings right over here. So first of all, change the start to 0 and set the current keyframe to 0. And now if you see that our timeline is set to 0, make sure to set the timeline to 0, else the exporting will be messed up. So once we have set our timeline to 0, we can start putting our keyframes. So let's just select all of our bones, press I and set rotation keyframe. So try to keep the rotation in a very limited manner. So just try not to keep the rotations like this in a weird form, else the skeleton will definitely break in game. So now we can just start putting our keyframes. So this is our rest pose. What we can do is move to, let's say, 20. Move the hand upwards a little bit. So let's just drag and select and move the hands upwards and move this inwards a little bit. And we can just set our keyframe. So to set our keyframe, select all the bones, press I and set rotation. So if you just preview it, it will be like this. So we can just move over to 40, let's say. We can move our left shoulder to, let's say, this much. And this one over to here. Select all of the bones, press I and set rotation keyframe. So it will be like this. Move over to our 60. Select our bone. Move it like this. Press I, rotation. And if you just preview it, it will be like this. So once we have completed our animation, let's say our last keyframe is over at 60. So we can change the end to 60. So to make sure that you set the end to the last value of your keyframe. So it is over here as 60. So let's just set the end to 60. And we can just preview it once again. And this is our animation. Now if we want to export our animation, we can go back to our object mode. And then we can open up our Sollumz tab with N. Select Sollumz. Go to our scene collection and select our head. And then we can go to animation tools over here. Expand it. Click create clip dictionary template. And here is our animation dictionary. So we can just rename it to, let's say, custom@animation. Expand it. Select animations. Click on create animation. Select clip. Click on create clip. And now we can fill up our animation details. So expand the animation and we can change it to, let's say, tutorial underscore anim. Expand our clip, change it to, let's say, tutorial underscore clip. And if we just go back to our animation and tutorial anim, select it, go to object properties and go to our Sollumz tab. Then we can set our hash. So we can just copy this name over here, paste it. And if we expand our actions tab, we have our base, root position and root rotation. Since we have not touched our root or the root bone and we have no keyframes over our root bone, let's say we are not moving the pet to some other location and rotating our pet, so we don't need to set our root position and root rotations. So we can just set our base, select it, and this is our animation which we created. So if we just look over here in our head hierarchy, there's a hierarchy called animation, and if we just expand it, there's this animation keyframe layer. So we can, if we just rename it to animation layer, and if we go back to our tutorial anim, select our base, we can see that the name is changed to animation layer. So just select the animation layer and then we can set our frame count. So currently there's an issue that if we try to click the fill animation data, there's an error with our frame count or setting the frame count value. I have already created a pull request on the Sollumz GitHub and hopefully it gets merged. So you can check if the pull request is merged or not, and if pull request is not merged, you don't want to use the fill animation data button. Instead, what we want to do is set our frame count value manually. So what is our frame count value? So it's just the value of our end keyframe or the last value of our animation. So the end animation value over here is our 60. So we can just copy it and set our frame count value to 60. And then we can just go to our tutorial clip, expand our Sollumz tab. Under our hash and name, we can just copy the same name and paste it over here. Setting our duration. So to set our duration, first of all, let's just open our calculator. And since we have total of 60 keyframes or the total of 60 frame counts, we want to divide it by 30. Since the animation is run at 30 frames per second in game, we can just divide our total frame count by 30. So 60 divided by 30, it is 2. So we can just set the duration to 2. Then we can just click on add a new animation link, expand the linked animations, and under the animation, we can select our tutorial anim. Select it, set the start keyframe value with over here, which is always going to be 0. Set the end frame value with our end, that is 60. And now we are done with our animation. So we can just select it, right click, select hierarchy, files, export, CodeWalker XML, go to our free mode folder. I'm just going to make sure to check the selected objects, disable the parent transform, and export CodeWalker XML. So once it's exported, we can just go to our free mode folder, and this is our bycd.xml file. So we can just open up our CodeWalker, go back to our mods folder, go to our update, x64 DLC packs. I have created an add-on DLC, which is add-on props, DLC, props, and enable the edit mode. Make sure to enable the edit mode in CodeWalker RPF Explorer. And now what we can do is simply just drag and drop the bycd.xml file in our CodeWalker RPF Explorer. So just drag and drop it over here, and it converts to YCD file. So this is our clip and this is our animation. So we can also preview our animation in CodeWalker Pet Viewer. So we can just do that. CodeWalker Pet Viewer, we can just launch it. Let it load. And once it's loaded, we can enter our animation name over here. So we have our custom @animation. So if we just go over here under the animation, remove the clip dictionary and type our animation. So the important thing to note over here is that if we don't see our animation name or the animation file name over here, when you are trying to enter the name, if it's not visible, let's say custom @animations was not here, then you need to change where you have placed your YCD file, because the pet viewer is not able to detect your YCD file. So make sure to place it in a proper RPF file. So we have our custom @animations, and if we just enable the drop menu, here is our animation. So tutorial clip, select it, and this is our animation. So if we just compare it with our Blender animation, so this is our Blender animation, and this is our CodeWalker animation. As you can see, it's exactly similar. We can change the pet model to, let's say, mp_m_free mode. Change it to custom @animation. Change the clip to tutorial clip, and this is our animation. So we can just play this animation in our game now. So I'm just going to use FiveM for playing the animations. You can use any other platform like Alt or Rage or even single player, although I'm not personally aware with any of our other platforms. I'm just going to use FiveM. So I've already created my resource over here, a stream folder, a client file, which is going to have a command to play the animation, and our fx manifest file. So first of all, let's just open our stream folder and just drag and drop the YCD file over in our stream folder. So this is our YCD file, and if we just edit our client file, this is our template command. So over here we have our dictionary name. So dictionary name is always going to be your file name. So we can just copy our file name and paste it over here. So custom @animations, and for our animation name we want to paste our clip name. So tutorial_clip, copy it and paste it over here and save it. I have also created my fx manifest file with fx version, game version and client script. And now if we just launch our server, ensure our resource and join our server, we can play our animation. So once we have entered in our server, let's just move out. And if we just run our command test anim, you should see that the animation should be playing obviously perfectly. We can also change our ped model to, let's say, player mp male, which is our free mode model. Run our command and it works absolutely fine. So if you are creating a ped animation, it usually works with all kind of peds which are human or have the very similar skeleton. So you can just create animation for, let's say, males and use it on all kind of other pets. So yeah, that's it for this tutorial. Hopefully you find it helpful. I'll provide the link down in the description for CodeWalker Discord and the Sollumz Discord. If you have any issues with exporting the animation or creating the animations, make sure to ask it in the Sollumz Discord. And till then, I'll see you next time.